That's that. But I do want to move on, and I want to talk all about the right-wing reprisal against the left, finally, for some good news. And I have to say, you know what? Trump has come in clutch. Might be premature to say because I think we need to do a lot more here. But this is what we want to see from the right wing. As I've said over the past week, I really do believe that so far, the strongest evidence at this point would suggest that Charlie Kirk's assassin was some left-wing nut job. And I have actually talked to people that are in the know at this point. I've talked to people that have talked to law enforcement in Utah, and they say that it is 100% the case that this Tyler Robinson, he pulled the trigger. And I think that's obvious. The question concerning a conspiracy is whether he was helped in any way, whether there are other accomplices or people who would be an accessory to the crime because they had advanced knowledge. And I think that, at this point, is the most important unresolved question. What is the role of the partner, of the transgender boyfriend? Who were the recipients of the text messages? Which were the Discord servers that he was involved in? But I think at this point, and this is not me saying case closed, because this person deserves his day in court, and all the evidence has not been revealed, and questions and discrepancies have not been resolved. This is not me saying this is the end of the road of the investigation, but this is me saying that at this point, very strong, overwhelming evidence that he pulled the trigger. That's our guy. The broader questions are concerning now his immediate network. Now, with that being said, and maybe this is the most important thing to say about it, which I don't actually hear enough people saying. It is actually besides the point who pulled the trigger with regard to this specific issue, which is concerning the right and the left. And let me tell you why. Let's say Charlie Kirk was killed by Mossad. Maybe. Let's say Charlie Kirk was killed by the CIA. Maybe. Let's say he was killed by aliens. Maybe he was killed by Tyler Robinson. Irrespective of who killed him and pulled the trigger, that is totally independent from the fact that tens of thousands of Americans celebrated the killing. Do you understand the difference?
This is a very good point. I completely agree. Like, of course, it's very important. Like, we all want to know, like, who was behind, like, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. But the fact that there were so many people celebrating it, actually, it makes me so mad still. And it happened, like, quite some time ago, or sometime, like. But you get the point. It makes me, like, furious, seriously. And how dare you to do that? Seriously, like, no matter if you like Charlie Kirk, if you agreed with him, if you disagreed with him, if you're gonna celebrate the death of, like, a father, such a young guy, you're gonna openly celebrate it. You're sick in your head, in my opinion. You're mental ill, and you're just a lunatic. Like, I even have to watch my words. But lucky, I hope so many people agree with me on this one. I hope so.
It does matter who shot Charlie Kirk. It does matter that we get to the bottom of it. But irrespective of that conversation, tens of thousands of left-wing Americans celebrated regardless. They don't know who killed him. We don't know who killed him. The only person that knows at this point is maybe the FBI, maybe Utah police, and the killer himself or whoever did it. But the left wing celebrated regardless. And why did the left celebrate? They celebrated because they think that if you hold basic conservative opinions, and that's what Charlie Kirk was. Charlie Kirk was a moderate. He was, by definition, a moderate. His slogan was socialism sucks. His slogan was big government sucks. Up until a few years ago, his organization distributed stickers that said that gay people should defend their gay rights with the Second Amendment. That's who they shot. That's whose death they're celebrating because they think he was a fascist. So whoever killed Charlie Kirk, in some conversation, it is independent from the fact that tens of thousands of leftists thought this was deserved, this was earned, this is good, a moral good. Why? Because they believe the penalty for having moderate conservative opinions is death. Look at how they talk about it. Charlie Kirk was not a racist. He was not a sexist. He was not even really a transphobe or a homophobe. When trans and gay people went to debate him at the various campuses, he was nothing other than respectful, arguably even kind. He was not cruel. He was not vindictive. He was not actually even a mean guy. He was polemical, like everybody is. But this is as moderate as it gets. And for this, they said, oh, a fucking fascist choked. Oh, a racist Nazi McFucktard got shot. Well, who cares?
Disgusting. Like, this is evil, or it's even worse than evil. You don't even have a word for this, but I'm getting quite furious about this, so I really have to watch my words. But when I still think about it, and then I picture all these videos I saw on TikTok like 5 minutes after it happened, people like cheering and people like celebrating, like crying because they were so happy. I almost had to vomit when I saw this. But I want to make one thing, or I want to say one thing against like Nick, and probably he's not watching this video, but if you know him, please tell this to Nick. Nick should really watch out. He should be really careful, because exactly what Nick just said. Charlie was kind of like a moderate conservative. Nick is kind of extreme, and we have more people who are more extreme. So imagine if they did this with Charlie. Like Nick and all those other people who are like a little bit more conservative, like extreme, they really need to watch out, because we can't lose another soldier. Seriously, we can't lose another warrior.
Now think of this. I am way more radical than Charlie Kirk. You are probably way more radical than Charlie Kirk. If you're a traditional Catholic, if you're a white identitarian, if you're a white nationalist, if you are a fascist, God forbid, if you are against Israel, if you are against Jewish power, you are way more radical than Charlie Kirk. And the left thinks that he deserved to die. And by the way, once again, whoever killed Charlie Kirk, they didn't make all these pieces of shit celebrate. That was their reaction. All these dirtbags and scumbags and lowlifes and losers, their first gut reaction was to grin, smile, celebrate, and do it on camera and upload it because they thought that's acceptable. They did that of their own volition. Who told them to do that? Was that on order from Mossad? Was that on order from Palantir? Was that on order from whoever? No, they did that because they fucking hate us. They did that because, and we all know, there is a large population in this country that right beneath the surface, they harbor a seething hatred for Christians, conservatives, for America, for white people. And this was just an opportunity to show it. This was an opportunity to say it loud and say it proud for them. No one made them do it. That part wasn't coordinated, organized. That was not paid for. They did that. And if there are 100,000 left-wing people that celebrated it publicly, how many celebrated it privately? How many people were high-fiving, or when their husband or wife got home from work, hugged each other and poured a glass of champagne like some cringe Reddit faggots? How many people did that privately? How many people were silently relieved that Charlie Kirk was killed?
Very good point. I didn't even think about this or thought about this, but this is a very good point. Imagine, or I saw a lot of videos, like a lot. What's ridiculous? But imagine the people we don't see, how that's even more crazy and more scary. There, like your neighbor can be like this, like someone in your family could be like this. Not in my family, but you get the point. It's scary. The people who don't talk about it, but they're like secretly celebrating it.
It's probably in the millions. There are millions of Americans that celebrate the death of only one of the most famous and outspoken conservatives, moderate conservatives. What would they like to see visited upon you and your family? And Sam Hyde has been 100% correct about this from the beginning. He has that famous tweet from 10 years ago. These people want you broke, dead, your kids raped and brainwashed, and they think it's funny. That's true. Everything that's happening in this country, the invasion by immigrants, the murder of white people by these barbarians in the inner cities, in every major city. Forget even about in Chicago, it's everywhere now. It's everywhere, all over the country. The indoctrination of your children. They like seeing that. They see that as a great victory. They like seeing our values trampled upon. They like seeing us get murdered. They like seeing our religion and our patriotism and our country and our heritage repudiated. They want to see whiteness destroyed. They want to see everything that we love fall, and they want it to be burned, and then they want to piss on the ashes of it. And this is a reminder. I've been saying this for the past week. This is a multi-front war. Yes, I understand that Israel is controlling the Republican Party. I understand it actually better than all of you. And yes, I understand that Palantir, which is embedded with Israeli intelligence, is looking to stir up all these cleavages and conflicts in our country to expand the surveillance state. I know it better than you. It does not make it any less real that there is a significant part of the population that feels this way. And those people actually have power in our country. These people that are celebrating and subsequently being fired, they are nurses, they are teachers. What does that say about our society? You send your white children to a public school. You send your beautiful white Christian children to a public school. They're being taught by these fucking monsters. You trust your white children with these public school teachers that are celebrating publicly that Charlie Kirk was killed? You entrust your children in their hands? How about your elderly? You're putting your elderly parents or relatives in a nursing home, in a hospital, and they're being taken care of by some black nurse that says, shit, I ain't care about Charlie Kirk's white kids. Fuck them too. That's who you entrust your elderly to? A fucking nurse that would say that? A healer? A doctor? Really? We have a problem. And here's the thing. This is something maybe that conservatives don't understand. And when I say conservatives, I mean everybody on the right. I mean everybody normal. Everybody on the right, everybody that doesn't want to see what America is get destroyed and burned to the ground. Maybe you don't understand. That kind of hatred cannot be negotiated with. Do you get that?
I completely get it, and I completely agree with this as well. Like, surprise, surprise. I also want to give like one little side note. Of course, not all teachers are like this. Not all nurses are like this. But I will talk for myself. I know exactly the people where Nick is talking about. I won't even have to explain you. But the point he just tries to make, and what I also want to repeat, because this is very important. The people we see celebrating, for example, the death of Charlie Kirk, these crazy lunatics, they live they have normal jobs. Like, of course, they can be a nurse, they can be a teacher, they can be everywhere. They can even be in the government at like high positions. It's insane that these people are like in our society, in my opinion. But of course, like, I know some things what we should maybe do with those people, but I'm not gonna repeat it here. But it's insane that we have people celebrating the death of a young father who only used his voice and his mouth as a weapon, and people are like celebrating that he died on such a disgusting way. Like it's insane, insane.
Charlie Kirk was a moderate. He's a relatively friendly guy. Yeah, he was, in some ways you could see how people might say he's a little fake, he's pretentious, whatever. But he's about as nice as they come. He was not some Hitler-esque figure, okay? He was a little edgy. Yeah, some people could say he fit a caricature as like a right-wing jerk or something. Relatively nice guy. When you have these liberal women, black people, Antifa types, black men like the guy in Texas, and they get up and they say, fuck that white guy, fuck that Nazi. Do you think that people like that can be debated into what exactly? Agreeing with us, voting for a Republican? What actually is the program for people like that? Are we going to shake their hand and embrace them and say, we can all come together? That kind of hatred, you actually can't talk them out of that. If you're coming to the table saying, hi, put her there, maybe we could both learn and listen to each other, and they're saying, I want your kids dead, that's not going to work. If they're going out there and voting for Brandon Johnson, they're going out there and voting for illegals to stay here, for criminals to be able to pillage and rampage, yeah, you actually can't negotiate with those people. The only thing you can do to those people is to defeat them. And by defeat them, I don't mean kill them. I don't mean harm them, because I don't think people deserve to be killed for harboring that kind of hatred. How you defeat them is make sure that they have no power over you or your children or over our lives. That's how you defeat them. Yes, there are a lot of hateful people in our country, and their hatred is theirs. There's a lot of hateful people. There's conservatives that hate liberals in our country. There's people that really hate trans people, that hate black people, and I don't like that either. And you know what? People are entitled to hate. People are entitled. That's actually their freedom of conscience. But they do not have a right to have power over you and your family and your children and your life. And it is our job to make sure that they never do. You want to hate me and my children? Get the fuck away from me. Get as far away from me as possible. And do not think for 1 second we will let you teach our children, take care of our sick or our elderly, or sit on a city council, or have any kind of authority over our lives. That's the difference. That's what it means to be serious, to disempower them. And I think that that's really the word that people need to get comfortable using, is power. Power. We want power. Why do we want power? To protect ourselves, to defend ourselves. We have interests. We as white Christian Americans have interests. And we are stakeholders in our society. We should fight for every inch. Someone is going to teach the kids. Someone is going to take care of the sick. Someone is going to write the laws, enforce the laws, interpret the laws. It should be people like us. It should be people that have our beliefs. That's how it's best for us. That's how we protect our interests, our lives, and our values.
Like, how can you disagree with this? Like, of course, like, I'm not a hypocrite. Like, I don't agree with everything Nick says, but what he just mentioned here, I completely agree with this. Like, I can't even understand, like, how can you disagree with this? Like, come on, like, some people, they should not, like, these evil people, they should not belong in our society. Like, they can live all together somewhere in Antarctica or something. Like, I don't mind. They can live like all together, like in California, in Los Angeles. I mean, I love LA. It's a beautiful state. Or California, it's a beautiful state. But Los Angeles, if I walk there, I almost feel like I'm in like in a nightmare or something. So they can all live together. That's fine. But don't come too close to me and my family. And as well, don't come too close to my lovely followers. Get away, man. Get away. All these leftist lunatics. Just move. Live together somewhere. And don't bother us.
You have a right to think whatever you want. You have a right to say, for the most part, whatever you want. You do not have a right to have power over me and my family and my life. And for that, we should fight tooth and nail. For that, we should fight relentlessly. And now you have people on the right wing sticking up for them. They say, well, you know, what about our principles? What about free speech, man? Let me tell you a little something about how that works. When the left was in power, they crushed us. They banned everybody for saying anything, racial slurs, even just uttering them, for saying that you believe men are.
All right, I have to stop the video here, sadly, exactly because of the reason he just mentioned here. And we still live in 2025 and we don't have a lot of freedom of speech still. That's just my opinion, my experience. But I'm very curious about your opinion. Please share your opinion in the comments. Do you agree with Nick? Do you disagree with Nick? I'll read all comments. That's very important to say. And if you like this video, hit the like button. If you really like this video, consider subscribing. And that's just it. Last but not least, I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful day. And I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.